Welcome to Talk Fair on Air, a live event hosted by viewers, the show where AI and innovative unconventional thinkers take center stage. I'm your host, Viveta Jean, AI language solution specialist, and today we have with us a professional with solid experience to share in the translation industry and the field of post editing. So we're honored to have Jakub Absolon join us. Jakub is the CEO of ASAP Translation with extensive experience in the language industry, as well as holding a PhD in post-editing of machine translation. Jakub, it's a pleasure to have you with us today. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I have a kind of echo, so I will wait for a moment. The echo will finish. Okay, thank you very much, Vivet, indeed for having me in your podcast. I appreciate much the possibility to talk about the present and especially the future of our industry. I believe that once again we are approaching a tipping point in the very near future. I don't want to talk about myself too much. I started my career as a physical education and English language teacher. I started working at basic school, then I was working as a teacher, translator, and even an interpreter for Slovak prison service. It was a very nice experience, you can believe me. Then I switched to human resource department and I worked for Heineken Slovakia and Emerson. There, I have learned a lot about competencies and especially about competency based recruitment and business processes. This was a great school for a real life business. Then we started a translation business together with my wife. First, she was a freelancer, but soon we have changed a model and started to cooperate with other freelancers. Currently, we work with more than 100 freelancers per month. We've been operating for more than 20 years. We have company also in Prague, Czech Republic, and we successfully delivered more than 150,000 translation projects so far for hundreds of clients. Each year, we deliver translation in more than 100 language pairs.
This is
Also,
amazing. Mm-hmm.
thank you. Is it okay with the echo? Because I have still echo here.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do anything to help you with that, but for us it is okay.
Okay. So also we were Okay, so also we were too young to start business right after the fall of the communism in Czechoslovakia. Still, there was a brisk demand here for translation services 10 or 15 years after the so-called Velvet Revolution. To be an English speaker at that time was a great advantage. There are hundreds of managers in Slovakia who started as English teachers or even au pairs. At the beginning, we were even translating business correspondence for companies because there were no English speakers. I'm a lazy person, especially when I feel it's possible to do more for less. So we were among the first CAT users in Slovakia. Then I started also teach Trados and WordFast, first only commercially and then also at the university. After 2006, and emerging Google Translate, I feel it's going to be another game changer, and I started to study post editing. So I'm always defending new technologies. But paradoxically, now I'm fighting against the so called full post editing.
You're fighting it. Okay, let's see. So, with your background now in post editing and vast experience, what are some of the most significant challenges you've encountered in your career, particularly regarding the quality and consistency of machine translation? Question. You may also have the chance to let us know what you are fighting.
Mhm. Vivet, may I second? I will try to make something with the echo because I
Yeah,
cannot hear you.
sure.
Just a second.
No
I'm
problem.
sorry for this, but it was okay when we were
No
speaking.
problem. In the meantime, I'm going to say that it is because Jakub said about laziness. I don't believe that this characteristic in his personality. What he described is an avid thinker. So probably what he means is that he wants to do more things, and he tries to save time. He has a very interesting career. He has a 360 view of the industry. And the reason I invited Jakub to this podcast is because I had a post about post editing, and he had this controversial, let's say, statement. So there were many, many comments about post editing and about the compensation of translators as usual. And by the way, as we have this time on air, a reason that we will discuss compensation later on in this podcast with Jakub is because I see that there are many negative vibes in on the social media, etc., and there is no so much appetite for constructive discussion. So this is our chance to do this today with Jakub and have a constructive chat and see what are the solutions. Jakub, you are muted probably. We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. You are muted.
Was one now?
Okay. Yes.
But still.
Can you hear me now? It still has echo? Okay. Do you think you can manage?
Yes, I will manage it in a moment.
Hello, Ryan. Thank you for joining us, and we will resume soon. So, as we have this time, if you are live right now and you would like to share questions for Jakub based on his experience in post-editing and about the compensation of post-editors, about how is post-editing evolving, if there is a place for post-editing in the future, your feelings about the current situation and towards AI translation, feel free to write anything that could help us go with the discussion ahead.
Okay, so I will try to continue according to your lips, and I will put it so because I'm not able to solve this problem.
Okay.
So I'm coming back to your first question. So it was the question about the my background in post editing, and so I will continue. I have already mentioned the year 2006 when Google started its Google Translate, but it was something like last year when ChatGPT started. Everybody was talking about it and testing it, but soon they realized that it would not replace human translators. Google Translator was still better and better, but still far from the quality of professional translation. However, after the arrival of neural machine translation, everybody noticed that the situation is starting to change, especially when DeepL started to beat Google Translate. For me, it was unbelievable that somebody was able to overcome the giant. Last year, after the breakout of LLM systems, ChatGPT user noticed that LLM is able to communicate in any language and able to translate. Again, many people made much fuss about it, and they talk about the perfect quality of LLM translation. My experience is that classic neural machine translation is still better than LLM, but the reason is, at least according to the MT specialist, that currently available LLM are not built for translation. Recently, I asked Andrzej Bojar, maybe you know him. It's from Charles University in Prague. I consider him as a MT guru. Uh, and I asked him what kind of change we could expect now, whether it will be continual improvement of current systems like NMT systems, or it will be another big jump to the next level, like when we started to use NMT. The answer was a big jump is waiting behind the doors. So I expect soon there will be specifically trained LLM models which will be perfect for translation. We will see soon.
This is really interesting and promising at the same time. So now, what is your perspective on this topic? I mean, I don't get it. I understand the perspective about LLMs and that they will become better, but what about full post editing?
I understand translation market as a kind of cake or a set of consisting of three subsets. When we started localization business, there were only two subsets or pieces of cake, if you want. The vast majority of cake was created by human translation, and only a small, a little part consisted of machine translation. At the time, it was rule-based machine translation. Then, with the arrival of statistical-based machine translation, and especially after the arrival of NMT, a new subset emerged, and we start to call it post-edited machine translation. It means some kind of hybrid translation. I'm sure the market is still and still will be growing, and 15 years ago I expected that also all subsets of this set would be growing. I expected that post-editing of machine translation will be the fastest growing part. However, now it is clear that machine translation without any human touch is growing at the speed of light. And I'm sure soon there will be no human translation without help of machine translation. But still, there will be a demand for a highest quality, the top quality, and we will call it just human translation. But higher demand I expect will be for so-called good enough quality, so fast and cheap translation. I hate this term, I must say. And maybe in 10 years, these two categories will merge together and will create a category we can call again just a translation. So there will be no post-edited machine translation, no human translation. We will just call it translation, and there will be another translation, and we will call it machine translation. And my idea is supported also by the research of, I have already mentioned Andrzej Bojar, where they found out that top quality translations are appreciated only by translators. Non-translators are less able to notice even critical mistake in translations. So we will have translation with final touch and responsibility, complete responsibility of human translator, and a category of machine translation with no responsibility. As you can read it in the disclaimer, for example, also in Google Translation, yes, you have disclaimer that they are not responsible for the translation. So translators are currently not so much about the providing understanding for clients, to clients. It's more about taking responsibility. and that's the big difference.
So, what you mean is that the role of the translator is just to take the responsibility of the deliverable, one thing. And second thing is that we will not have any other terms, but we will only have translation as a service. And this is where I agree because anything else is really confusing. So, yeah, for me, translation works. It is always translation, even if the process or the skills are slightly different. For me, the process is different, but the service is the same in a way. Things that are conceptually really overlapping, really confusing, but let's make it clear for the audience that translators are translators. And even if you are a post editor, you are a translator at the same time. And this is a long discussion anyway, but I hope I got it correct. I would like to jump into the main question because I'm very curious to see your perspective. So, compensation is a vital aspect for translators and language professionals. How do you ensure fair compensation for translators based on what we said, especially in the context of post editing, machine translated content?
Yes, the compensation is always a very nice question. So, in the past, I was a strong advocate of using CAT tools and fair but competitive compensation for 100% matches, repetitions, and fuzzy matches. And I was able to prove it by my own research that translators which used CAT tools earned more money per month, even they agreed with the fuzzy match discount. Now, again, we can see a couple of translators who are able to use machine translation and earn more money thanks to the increase in their effectivity. But it's a vast minority of them. On the market, there is a very strong pressure to reduce prices because of using machine translation. However, I believe there is no room for this reduction. I know the Central European market very well, and I must say our professional translators are in a very difficult position to maintain a standard of living. Still, more clients use their own in-house employees for translation because machine translation helps them to translate, and their language competence is good enough. I hate a good enough term, but it is to post-edit the results from machine translation. And what's more, still more people from other fields are starting to offer translation services. So they push the prices down also. And again, it is possible thanks to not only better language competency of our people, but also thanks to the machine translation. We, as LSPs, we need to be ready to be flexible to offer our clients human quality translation for reasonable price, but also we need to explain to our clients that if they want us to find a needle in the haystack, it is necessary to search through the whole haystack. So maybe prices should be based on two factors. First, the price for volume of the text. Yes, you can imagine the whole haystack. And second, the price for number and errors identification and correction. So the first part could be a minimum flat fee for the project, and the second part could be based on the post analysis. You can argue with me that it's already existing, yes, that it is already used, but by my experience is that the clients are trying to use almost the same pay grid, as it was with the our during the era of trans, translation memories. But 100% translation memory match is definitely not the same as the 100% machine translation match. To be able to attract quality translator on the market, you need to offer a reasonable price. Otherwise, the profession of translator will fall down together with the quality of the content. And here there is a big risk hidden because we can see younger generation of consumers, they do not care too much about the content. So that's the problem. So our role is to explain or try to explain the importance of the quality to our clients. For example, in e-commerce, it is closely also connected with enforceability of law. If bad translation causes damage, injury, or even death, and culprit will face a real punishment, there will be a demand for human translation of for post editing. Otherwise, everything will be translated by machine translation. And regarding the literary translation, prices, at least here in Slovakia, are poor, and it's more we can say it's a passion for translation than the work. So I'm sure also literary translators can use machine translation LLMs to improve quality of translation because it gives them suggestions. So even it improve their creativity. But if we will degrade the profession as a whole, the quality of literary translations will fall down too. So maybe it's not so nice future, but I feel this is the reality.
I'm an optimist because if you and I agree that there is a solution for a fair compensation, and because new generations of LSPs come in, and because many freelance translators become bigger, let's say LSPs, so they have our feelings and our passion, because it is a different thing to have the business perspective and it is a different thing to have the passion for this industry. These two parameters, let's say, are not compatible. You cannot be passionate for the industry and work for the common benefit of the industry and at the same time make a lot of money. They're somehow, having a conflict.
Yes.
So people who will join this industry with new companies, I believe that they will embrace the new technologies by also finding a way to share the profit throughout the chain, from the freelance translator to the buyer. And there will also be a balance, let's say, and an education thing about the compensation and about the error categories and about how the effort is calculated as we advance towards the AI era. So thank you very much for stating this. I didn't know what would you say today, but this is what I'm focusing on my research, and it is great to hear. And after this question, I would like to go and talk about AI translation, because AI translation technologies continue to advance. So you talked to me a little bit about AI, but how do you see the transition from post editing to fully automated AI translation? And what strategies would you recommend for language service providers to adapt to this shift? And of course, by saying LSPs, I'm also mentioning the freelance translators.
Yes. For me, AI translation and machine translation is still the same. So still more text will be translated by machine translation without human touch. But still there will be, as I have mentioned, there will be a need for so-called professional translation because we need a guarantee. Yes. So currently many clients many clients, especially big LSPs, want from us so-called full post editing in accordance with the standard ISO of 18587 from 2017. So they asked for perfect quality for reduced price, and the reason is that the text was already pre-translated by machine translation. But translators have been using machine translation for a couple of years already. It helps them, but still it's only another tool that assists. I insist on revision of the standard of this standard on machine translation, which further defines two types of post editing. Yes, first, in these standards, they mention, now I will be citating, full post editing as the process of post editing to obtain a product comparable to a product obtained by human translation. Quite complicated definition, but it is set by this standard. And then the standard recognized another kind of post editing, and it is light post editing. And it is the process of post editing to obtain merely comprehensible text without any attempt to produce a product comparable to a product obtained by human translation. I believe that so-called full post-editing is nothing else but human translation with support of machine translation and should be paid as such. So again, we are talking about the compensation, but I believe that it is always about this. Of course, the price is negotiable. However, it is not fair to ask for the flat discount, for example, of 25% for machine pre-translation, if translator or a company is fully responsible for translation. So we should quit the term full post editing and use only full post editing and use only post editing and human translation, as I have mentioned before. The difference lies in the responsibility. So if you should be fully responsible for something, you need time to check the text. If not, you can speed up the process, but there will be some kind of risk. But anyway, as I have already mentioned, I believe human translation and post-editing will merge together in several years. I don't know if I have answered your question, but it's...
Yeah, from many different perspectives. First of all, it was my mistake to say AI translation because it is one thing machine translation and the second thing LLMs. So because and machine translation is under the umbrella of AI translation. Then we have machine translation and LLMs. And yes, you answered my question, and it's good that we yes.
Me personally, I use always AI if I'm not able something to explain.
Okay. Good. So yeah, and for now we're going towards the use of output from LLMs. For example, you already know that with PWX we have LLMs, we have MT, and we have augmented actions. But as we go towards this model of work, which is completely different. And actually, as you said, the output becomes perfect and more of decision making and problem solving exercises, let's say, are needed by the translators. The more we are worried about the future of LSPs. So, how do you envision the future of LSPs with the rise of the AI-driven translation solutions? And what strategies should LSPs adopt to remain competitive and relevant in this digital era?
Yes, so I can talk only about our company because I know relatively well what we are doing. So for the third year, for the third time, we were indexed by Slater LSPI index as a boutique company with turnover between 1 and 8 millions of US dollar. But during the 2023, we encountered decrease as other 45% of boutique companies. So I do not feel clever enough to give some kind of recipes or advice how to master change management of this time. We try to specialize in e-commerce localization, but it's not easy because, as one of the e-shopper once told me, uh, the the text is for them only the problem. So it's very difficult to in such condition to sell translation to such a e-shopper. For many expanding e-shops, it's enough to use machine translation. But I believe there is a big gap on the market, and especially in unified EU market. And I understand this is a big chance for us still. So still there is a space for us. Another direction is to use our proficiency in localization and create our own product or service and sell it globally. We have one project, but it's too soon to talk about it. Also, we try to be a more localization partner for our clients, not just a translation provider. So we give them more advices and consulting services than not just the translation of the text. The problem is that the Slovak market here in Slovakia is not very big, and there are not many e-commerce companies from Slovakia which are planning to expand to other markets. We have more foreign companies expanding to Slovak market, especially from Czech Republic. So we want to be stronger on Czech market. Also, we are doing our best, but we do not have a crystal ball, luckily. Life is fun only if you don't know what will be the future.
Correct. And there we go now with the quality of post editing. How do you approach quality assurance in post editing workflows? And what measures do you take to ensure consistency and accuracy in the final translated content, taking into account actually that the two metrics, let's say, that we use to evaluate the output is accuracy and fluency.
To be able to make post editing, you either need to be a real professional in the field of the translated text, or you need to have perfect term base before you start post editing. The second thing is to use good settings for your quality assurance process, which can help you to find errors. Regarding post editing, we do not have many light post editing projects currently. There is not a brisk demand for this kind of post editing. Instead, there is a demand for full post editing. It means for cheap human translation. Here we are fighting not with quality problems, but with the price problem, to be able to pay less for the same. So we try to give our vendors all the tools and know how to be able to work faster. However, we have already experienced quality problems in this segment because when something is fast, it's not always is the best quality. But as I have mentioned, quality assurance and terminology is vital for post editing. At least I believe. So this regards the quality assurance. But
So
maybe I
let
can
me. Mhm.
But maybe I can go back to last question about the future of the LSPs. Uh, mm, in the history, I remember times when there was a strong movement against the translation agencies or LSPs by FL translators, but now, after 2 decades of cooperation, I believe the market is mature enough and freelancers understand there is a place for both entities, freelancers and LSPs. Clients need both. Also, I have listened to in several podcasts and read in several articles about uselessness of project managers. Yes, mm, and in fact, there are some companies working directly with freelancers without LSPs or without, they call it without project management. However, there must be somebody who prepares the text for freelancers or for machine translation engines, and especially the person who makes decision. So it doesn't matter if you call this person project manager or localizations success manager. So I just wanted to add this to the previous question.
So again, we have so many roles and names appearing in the industry, and this happens in all the industries. It's not our depending on the model of the company, depending on the needs, depending on the budget. So there are different things there, and there is also the aspect of the competition by the amateurs translators and the volunteer translators and the clients taking the responsibility to translate themselves. So yeah, there are many arrows coming from all the directions, and we need like a book of 300 pages and more to cover everything there. So thank you very much for stating this, and I think is there anything else that you would like to cover and that we did not cover so far, just to go for our fast five questions?
Maybe I can say something about the role of LSP and how to cooperate with translators in the AI era.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that LSP first need to have a team of really professional project managers with a good knowledge and good knowledge of new workflows, because they must not only understand the processes and possibilities of AI usage but also its limits. As I have mentioned, we are organizing webinars for freelancers, and we are very open and transparent. Post-editing era is not for all the translators, and you must not ask a translator to work more for less. You must identify post-editing talents from the existing translators pool, but also work with students at universities. We must empower translators through transparent communication and by offering them support. I have already mentioned our webinar from last week where we not only gave translator theoretical knowledge, but also gave them practical exercising on how they can measure their ability to adapt to new era. We concretely identify three main pillars. The first is skill in editing and CAD tool usage, which is relatively easy to train. Then knowledge about AI, LLM, and all the machine translation systems. Again, it's not so difficult to train, but then there is also approach, and this is very difficult to change the approach of the translators, of the freelance translators. And also there are some kind of people. Not all of us are. Uh, we are working at the same speed. So the future is mostly for very fast people, I think, unfortunately.
Well, I agree with everything, but I would not like to correlate editing, let's say correction of output, just to make it more general and go away from the term of post editing. Correction of output with speed, because speed is something that comes
Yes,
because of
I
all the
agree with
other.
you. I completely agree with you. I'm not saying that the only slow translator are of good quality and fast translator are not. No, you have very fast, absolutely perfect quality translators, professionals, but you have also slow and perfect translators. But unfortunately, they must specialize because otherwise they hourly price will fall down. So it's easy to be fast and perfect.
Completely agreed. And I have a question from Maria. Is post editing with LLMs something we can implement in professional translation workflows? And what are the risks and advantages?
Can I see the questions
It
or
is in
not?
the comments.
Comments. Aha, okay. Yes, Maria posted it, something. So, huh. M- Me personally, I do not like this theory about post editing by LLM because again, recently I have possibility to see the research where the LLM post editing of result was about 89.9%, but still there is 1.1 and there could be a vital error here, fatal, which could cause fatal fatal errors. Yes, it could damage machine. It could make a problem. Yes, so still there will be somebody who will again check something which was already checked by LLM. And my question is, isn't it better to give it to check it by this professional at the beginning? Because we were talking about the fair compensation models, and I'm not kind of left-wing manager or something like this, but I think that business is about the competition, and there is a big competition between technology companies which provide us with LLM models and machine translation, and they still want to have bigger piece of cake. Yes, the cake is still big and bigger and bigger, but also the percentage they cut from the LSPs companies and translators is bigger and bigger. And this tool, how you can use LLM to improve your machine translation output, I understand as just another kind of or attempt to cut more from the cake. So I agree. I would use it definitely as an automatic tool for machine translation. Yes. So you can first use machine translation engine different from LLM model because otherwise it will not work. And then you can ask LLM model to correct it. And I'm sure it will correct some errors. But I would not use it in the workflow of human translation. So you can give a machine translation engine to translator to help this person, yes, to help translator to have a better result. And also you can use another tool, LLM tool, for example, and you can ask, I'm using it, for example, I'm using GPT. I'm using GPT to, for example, I'm asking to give me 3 more translation of this sentence. So it really improves your creativity.
Yes, and I'm happy you share this with the audience because I have personal experience using BWX, which integrates MT, AI, and augmented actions. So it's good to see that with the augmented actions in combination with MT, it brings whatever you said, alternative suggestions coming from the power of LLMs. It brings automatic proofreading, tag fixing. You have terminology, which you said in the beginning. You can first you have your terminology as an expert, and then you apply this terminology, and the system learns the terminology. So 50% of the work has been done. So this is really important to share about the power of AI and LLMs, but it's a different thing this, and it's a different thing the unpredictable output of LLMs, which needs your synergy, it needs deep learning, it needs time, it needs more data to improve and improve and improve, because it learns from you if deep learning pre-exists, let's say, and it is implemented in the system. So thank you very much. We all agree, probably, because we all have some experience, and the discussion is really enlightening. I try to, to take some more time to cover everything. So let's go with our fast five, Jakub. Uh, well, fast five, I don't know if it's going to be exactly fast five with the echo, but we will try to make it. So what's the furthest thing you've experienced with AI?
These are the most difficult questions from you. The weirdest thing is the fact that the people are looking for something they should have in their brains. And it resembles me searching for extraterrestrial life and destroying life on Earth. But my answer was not very funny.
I think it was, in a way. Depends on our humor. So what's one tool or tip you can share that makes you most productive?
Unfortunately, I do not have some special tool, but I use paid version of ChatGPT every day. It's very good friend of mine. I
Okay,
call him
next
Gepetto,
question.
like
I'm not
GPT,
rude. I just have
Gepetto,
to
the
go
father of
to go fast.
Pinocchio. So,
Okay. So what's the biggest myth people believe when it comes to translation and technology?
the biggest myth is that people think if translator does not make any correction of machine translation, he did nothing and translation should be for free.
What's your favorite word in your native language?
For many foreigners, we think that the strangest sounds or strangest word is word čučorietka in Slovak, which means blueberry. But my favorite word could be, for example, word priatelia, which means friends.
Using one word, how would you describe AI?
But also you forget one more question. What was the last thing I Googled?
Okay. Let's go for
I
it.
love this question because the last thing I Googled today it was the menu from the nearby restaurant.
Okay, nice. So, how would you describe AI in one word?
In what? Self-deception or delusion?
It's the first time we hear this answer, so it was authentic. Thank you very much, Jakub, for making our Talk Fair on Air podcast a learn and fun experience. Talk Fair on Air is an event hosted by BureauWorks. BureauWorks is a cloud-based translation management system integrating innovative AI translation technology and the winner of Process Innovation Challenge at Local 50. If you want to experience pure AI innovation in translation technology, sign up for a free trial or book a demo with me to navigate AI in translation. So thank you very much.
Vivet, thank you very much again. Thank you for all the audience. And I'm very sorry that I had a technical problem. I hope that it was not some interrupting, because I still have echo for all the conversations. So my brain was working on 200%.
Yeah, your effort was really high. I don't know how I'm going to pay you for this today. So thank you
Invite
very
me
much.
again.
And stay tuned for more engaging discussions on the ever evolving landscape of language and technology. Until next time, remember to embrace the possibilities of AI in translation and always talk fair and open with kindness and positive vibes. See you next week. Thank you, Jakub.
Thank you very much. See you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.